It's a great feeling. I'm Professor Latha, and I thank Hortus Manorama for making me a part of this journey. And I also take this opportunity to thank N.S. Madhavan sir for inviting me to share this special session with Preeti Shenoy. Preeti, it's a great feeling. I think it is a peculiar sensation to think that this. Extraordinary woman, a celebrated writer, once walked the hallowed hallways of St. Teresa's College, Kochi. A young girl brimming with dreams. And little did we know, teachers, that she would be weaving magic with her words. From those bustling, unsettling classrooms to the global literary stage, Preeti's journey is a testament to the power of the written word. Her stories, filled with bittersweet symphony of love, loss, and human despair, but hope, resonate with her readers, I think, across the world. But I should tell you, thank you, Preeti, for making me a part of that inner circle. That was actually a rediscovery for me as a reader because it's not just her books, but the way she connects with her readers. I would use the adjective the army of devoted readers, the army of devoted readers that gets connected with her through Instagram and other social media. And that is what makes Preeti Shenoy an extraordinary, not as a writer, but an extraordinary force, a beacon of hope and inspiration for many young people who get connected to her, and some of them I have heard saying that you have helped them in shaping their dreams and aspiration. And let me place the first question, Preeti. From where do you get the oxygen for these stories?
First of all, before I answer that, it's such a great honor to be in conversation with Latha ma'am. She was my professor at college, and little did we know that 25 years later, or maybe more, we would actually be in conversation. So for me, it was like a great feeling, and I've always been and like really enjoyed being around you, ma'am, and being in conversation with you. For me, it's as big an honor as like you were so kind in your praise, and I must say it's such a big honor because you have that connect with the young people. You get my work, so it's an absolute pleasure. As regards where do I get my oxygen to write, I really don't know. This morning I ran from my hotel. Newly I have taken up running, and this morning I ran from my hotel, I ran up to the beach and I ran back 5.5 kilometers. And when she said oxygen, I'm only thinking about, oh, oxygen, VO2. How much oxygen am I consuming while writing? But honestly, I feel it is the helplessness when I see about things around me. For example, in this book, 100 Little Flames, the protagonist is an 80 man in his 80s, Gopal Shankar. And I feel old people have a lot of stories to tell, but nobody listens to them. You know, they are just old people, somebody's grandfather, and his life only so much. So I wanted, and then, there were so many incidents which I cannot do anything about, but I feel I can write a good story about it. So each book, if you ask me, how did this story come? How did this story come? There'll be a story for the story which I have written. So generally, it's like different things which have inspired different books. And for example, this book, All the Love You Deserve. It is a sequel to my book, When Love Came Calling. It is set in Kochi. It's completely different. Here, the protagonist is in his 80s. Here, the protagonists are in their 20s. So, it's about Pooja and Arush. And Pooja is this young girl who is the black sheep of the family. Her mother is a very successful surgeon. Her father is a businessman. Her sister has got into IIM, and Pooja fails all her classes. And she doesn't know what to do in life. Everyone says, find your passion, find your passion. And Pooja says, what if you don't know what your passion is? It's not everyone who has figured it out in their 20s. So that made me want to write a book about it, because a lot of times parents want what is good for their children, but they don't understand their children. And then you have the problem of falling in love, having a crush, and all of that. So that made me write the first book. This is the second book, again set in Kerala, so very close to my heart. So different books have different oxygens, so to speak, How they came about is all different things.
And I was in the UK and I heard some of your publishers saying, when I said, Preeti, I know, oh, we can't keep her in stock. We can't keep her in stock. And they said she keeps her head above anyone else. What is it that makes you the best selling author? Just imagine 16 best selling books and 16 publishers who are waiting to, how? I think, what is it that makes you so special for them?
So, see, at the end of the day, to be very frank, publishers want to make money. So, if your book sell, they'll be very nice to you. If your book does don't sell, they'll drop you, because at the end of the day, it's a business for them. So, no matter what big name you have, no matter what a great story you've told, if the book doesn't sell, they will not publish you, because it's obviously they are not like doing it for charity. So, how do my books sell? Honestly, I did not expect, and I'm very grateful that my books are selling. My first book was called 34 Bubblegums and Candies. It was republished as Love a Little Stronger, all true incidents from my life. And how that came about is I lost my father all of a sudden. I was very close to my father. And one minute he was in conversation with my mother, other minute he had just leaned and he had passed away. And he was to visit me. That morning also he has walked 5 kilometers, no age-related ailments, nothing. 1 week later he was supposed to meet me. So I started writing to get over the grief. Okay, and I was like drowning. I had 2 small children at that time. Now they are grown up. Now my son is 26, my daughter is 23. So that time they were small. So for me, it was such a big shock. So then it made me realize that today we are here looking at each other. Next 1 hour, we don't know what's going to happen. Till then it was all something which happened to other people. So that, like, it was such a huge realization. I started writing small things which I'm grateful for. Honestly, it's because I was drowning. So somebody has given me 1 cup of tea. Oh, I'm grateful. I'm looking for things to be grateful. If I'm, going home and I saw one rainbow, oh, how nice this rainbow is. It's like how a drowning man will clutch at even a straw and make it a lifeboat. It was like that. So that was my first book and it did somewhat okay. It was not like a huge bestseller or anything. But my second book was what had changed the game. And second book, I was living in UK at that time. And it is about a girl with bipolar disorder. And I'd heard many instances of people having mental health issues. It was not talked about. Now, after COVID, we all talk about mental health, but that time it was a huge taboo. So I said, I want to write a book which addresses this taboo. And I wrote the book. I got rejected because, the publisher said, what is this book about mental health? Over 40 times. And not only in India, even in UK, I got rejected. Nobody wanted to publish that book. And I had put 2 years of my life in that book. Then finally, a small publisher said that we'll publish it. And the book became a huge bestseller. It sold over 1 million copies today. 500,000. Over 1 million. Nearly 1 million it's coming. It sold more than 500,000 copies. Huge. Everybody would have read Life is What You Make It. Then I went on to write the sequel to that book. And that sequel was 8 years later because it was a very intense book to write. Because I traveled from UK to India. I went to Nimhans. I met people with mental health issues. My landlady in UK was a psychiatric nurse. I spoke to her. And there's a bipolar artists association I did. So it took a lot. I have like so much research. I can write like 10 more books about that. But I said it's very intense. So I wrote other books, which thankfully, touchwood, went on to become bestsellers. And after that, so to speak, there was no looking back. And now I'm like very fortunate. Like I have a dedicated readership who wait for my next novel, which I feel very blessed about. So that's how this whole bestseller thing came.
And it seems your book, that All the Love You Deserve, comes at a time when many of us struggle to set healthy boundaries and recognize what constitutes a loving relationship. And especially in most of your works, I think the chapters are very brief. That is one particular thing that I have observed about your craft. The first line, for especially in this book, All the Love You Deserve, there are only 8 words. The first line consists of only 8 words. And I quote, some chapters in your life should stay closed. And that sets the tone of her novel. And Preeti, how much do you invest for the craft of the stories? This sentences, the chapters, unlike other novels, it's so, if you look at it, they're so brief, and the brevity, is it come spontaneously?
No, it really does not come spontaneously. I have to kind of change the words and make it simple. Because when I write, it always come. I write the first draft. I write with whatever comes, whatever words come. I write, and then I'll read it, and then I'll say, okay, there is a better way to say this sentence. So then I will change the sentence. So many a time, if there is a very large word, I will remove it, because my aim is that when I write a novel, nobody should need a dictionary to read my novel. And a person who has studied up to class 5 English should be able to read my novel. My mother has studied in Malayalam medium. My mom reads my novels. Throughout she has this thing. So my aim is that good writing, deep writing need not always be complicated writing. Why can't we write a very deep story which touches your heart with simple words? So that has been my say so-called, like the trademark or whatever you call of a writer. That's been my style. So even if I have used like a long word in my second rewrites, third rewrites, I will change it. I will say, okay, there is a better way to say it. For example, maybe the door was ajar with sunlight streaming in, and like my writing is never pretentious. Not to say that people who have pretentious writing is bad or anything. Mine is like direct to the point story. Like, you will feel sad when you read my stories. You will be invested in the characters. Like, I've read some beautiful books which are very beautifully written, but then I don't care about the characters. So in that case, I'm not interested. So my thing is, from the first word till the last word, it should grip you and should not let you go.
So, do you mean to say that I was looking at the structure? Is it the beginning or the middle of the story that keeps it going on and on and on? I think it's not, for the story,
Yeah.
or when you look at the novel, when you look at the structure, I think it is the middle. Have you evolved a kind of a personal theory about the structure of whether it is the middle or the ending or the beginning? Which part takes more of your time? Especially in this novel, All the Love You Deserve, you begin with Sujit and and then there are so many characters.
Yeah.
Placing those characters around.
No, this book was very hard to write because this All the Love You Deserve, because it is from 3 points of view. There is Sujit, who is based in Kochi, and there is Pooja, and she's partly based in Varkala, partly in Kochi, and then there is Arush, who is based in UK. So when one chapter is from Sujit's point of view, next is from Pooja, next is from Arush. So for me to keep track, first of all, of the timeline, when something is happening here in India, it is this time in UK. It is, and my own daughter lives in London, so I know very well that London timeline, because at 1 o'clock she'll call. Now UK has set its clock back by 1 hour, so now she'll call at 2. So at 2, I'll always keep my phone near me because she'll call on the way to work. So for me, first of all, to keep track of the timeline. Secondly, when this is happening in Sujit's life, this is happening in Arush's life, this is happening in Pooja's life, it was very hard. Thirdly, to keep it interesting, like, and not repeat it, because these characters are all involved. So you cannot repeat what's happening in Pooja's and Arush's. So you have to tell from different. It was very hard to write this book. Rewrote it many times.
So, and what I find is these stories are so quick paced, and sometimes I feel that these stories will make other writers cry happy tears in their conflicts. So, and I feel that what Hilary Mantel has said in one of her interviews, every word in, when it comes to Preeti's craft, every word is a right word and is in the right place. Could you speak about that too?
Yeah, so I write a monthly column in the New Indian Express. Every month you will find an opinion piece in Sunday. The first Sunday of the month it will be published. So next column is coming this Sunday. So my column is 500 words and I can write on any topic that I want. So for me, first I will write, okay, so it'll be some 650, 700 words. Then I will shorten it. Then I will chisel it. I'll say, okay, where can I remove one word? Where can I add one word? So first time I submitted the column, it was 510 words. So then she got back and she cut some words, okay? And I was like, oh, she's cut this word, so I have to make it perfect. Next column I wrote, I said, I have written 494. Do you want me to add 6 more words? So she said, no, make it 500. So I said, okay, I took it as a challenge. Now every column, 500 words. So I will chisel, literally like a sculptor making a statue and then adding the details, adding the eyes, adding the eyelashes. So my work like that is chiseled. So I try to do that in my chapters. If one extra word is there, I'll remove it. We don't need it, Why do we need it?
When we listen to her, I feel like some of I've heard people saying that oh, it is sheer luck that you are there as a writer. But when you listen to her, you feel that it's not luck, but it is perseverance and determination, and also the hard work and research that goes into the making of a writer. And then you also think, can we really say gifted? The word gifted also becomes very, I think problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you say gifted,
Yeah.
oh, gifted. No.
No, it's not gifted. It is just practice over and over and over and over. It's just practice. Like my next book, which will come out later, is in this book I told you the protagonist is in his 80s. It's Gopal Shankar and Rohini. It's their stories. So Gopal Shankar and Rohini are both in their 80s. So I wrote a book about young Gopal Shankar and Rohini. So Gopal Shankar is a young boy of 13, which means it is 1930s, late 1930s, 1940s in India. And very hard to find data. Okay, how was it? Like I wanted to research properly. So the only thing available is administrative reports of British India. So I sat and read 200, 300 pages of administrative report I read because that time it was Travancore. There was no Kerala. It was Tirukochi. And so Malabar and all that was under the British rule, but this Tirukochi and all was under Swati Tirunal. And so all of that, so the research that I do doesn't show in my stories. When you read the story, it seems very simple. But amount of research that has gone, only I know because I am a person who will not fool my reader. Like even if it is simple words, the fact behind it will be accurate because I would have spent hours and months reading, researching. So it will be so accurate that, there shouldn't be a doubt. Even though it's fiction, even though I can lie and get away, I don't do it. So there is truth in, those things. So for me, I feel it is hard work, it is craft, and it is something that I enjoy doing. And I feel fiction like this, there is a place where there is deep stories, but anyone can read, anyone can relate, anyone can understand. And my main thing is you should feel very deeply for the characters. So that's what I try to do with my work, and probably that's one of the reasons for its popularity, which is emotional connect. So you'll really feel that Alka is there, you'll really feel Gopal Shankar is there, you'll really feel Pooja and Arush are there. You'll really feel it. It's very convincing. So for me, that's very important.
And I would say that among the one book that I love is A Place Called Home. And in that, I have noticed that the marginalized voices and the class divisiveness of our society, especially compartmentalization of society, and how difficult it is for a person who comes from economically challenged section to find a voice is beautifully integrated into the story. I'm waiting for the sequel, Preeti.
Sequel is
And
coming in November.
yeah, it's actually very powerful. And we are all waiting. I think, like when going through her Instagram, you are really amazed at the way people were talking. I was amazed at the way people were talking to you, sharing their problems, and the wonderful way in which you engage with them. How do you balance this writing your personal life? And I think it is not easy to manage that community of readers. I feel that every day is an adventure.
Yeah.
So, can you throw some light on that?
See, for me, the connect that I have with my readers is very real because I think I am one of the few people who doesn't pretend on Instagram. Because if you go and open Instagram, it's all fake. Like not everything is fake, but most of it, 90% of it, they will be one way on Instagram, and in real life, when you meet them, they will be another way. And they are not sincere and they are not genuine. But for me, I tried to be genuine. I tried to be sincere. So I was writing an advice column in the New Indian Express for long. And even then, when I started reading the problems which people were writing to me, I felt very bad for them. So even when I'm not paid for it, I was replying to them simply because I'm 53 now and I have like the wisdom which probably a 20-year-old or a 22-year-old won't have. And I have a connect with young people. Look, a lot of young people tell me, how do you get it? How do you get into our minds? So my own children are young and I'm very close to them. So probably that's why their friends come and talk to me. So, they don't talk to their parents, but they'll come and talk to me. So I have a connect. So then I said, okay, when I am saying something, I don't have an agenda. I'm not saying it for money. I'm not saying it to get followers. So I just like say it sincerely from my heart. And I think for readers, that connect is there, especially because my work is deep. My work is about mental health, about old people, about family relationships. Like, family is very important because I myself am very close to my family. And I feel like, marital problems, all of that find their way into my books simply because my books are practical. It's all very practical. When you read it, you will feel you know somebody like Gopal Shankar, you know somebody like Pooja Arush. You will really feel that connect. And I think my readers pick up on that. And as regards being connected to my readers, I do is I just reply to every comment, which will take me a few minutes. That's all. So I won't scroll. I will just sit and reply. And most of the time, it's just like one word or something. But they feel it. So I'm very very fortunate to have the kind of readership that I have, and I value it so much.
If you had to pinpoint three of the most pressing challenges people face today in terms of relationship, self growth, and emotional healing, what would they be?
I think number one is the phone addiction. All of us are addicted. Okay, we have that. Your Instagram is designed to keep you scrolling through that reel because they did this experiment with rats. And so, in one thing, when the rat presses the button, it will get food always. In the other one, in another cage, they put rats, and when the rat presses, sometimes the food comes, sometimes it doesn't come. Guess which set of rats got addicted? The second set. You will think that the first set, always the food comes, but our brains don't work like that. The second set, when it doesn't know when it's getting, because it gets a huge surge of dopamine. Same thing for us. When we scroll, one reel we'll find which is very funny, ha ha ha, we'll laugh, we'll send it to our friends, and then we're looking for our next hit. And I feel that scrolling affects everything. It fries your brain, it affects your creativity, affects your relationship. It brings in feelings of anxiety, depression, because inadvertently we compare because we are human. And I was thinking, at 53, if there is a tendency for me to get hooked, I can only imagine young people how fried they'll be getting and how many problems they have. And in our times and all, when we broke up for good. We never had mobiles, we moved. But now they'll put story to make the other person jealous, because in story you can see who saw. Then they'll wait and see, has that person seen? You're broken up, it's gone. Like, so I feel these are the challenges which young people face, which probably we didn't face during our time. And extramarital affairs have become very easy, because you can sit in India, have an affair with a person in Japan, because you can do your FaceTime, this and that. That was not there earlier. Earlier, there was one phone in the middle of the hall. So if you try to like have anything, your husband, your family would come to know. Now it's the phone. I feel, while I'm a huge fan of technology, okay, but I feel it's very important that we govern ourselves and use it in the right way. And I teach journaling. I have journaled all my life. At the end of the day, I pick up a pen, I pick up a paper, I sit and write. More than 40 years I've journaled. And I tell them that write with a pen and a paper, because it awakens another part of your brain. It helps us process, because that's something we've forgotten. And I feel these are the challenges which we all face, and we have to self-regulate. If we don't self-regulate, we are harming ourselves.
And one more question, and that is about people, I mean, writers like Ankur Warikoo, who rehash Western books with the Indian context. So I feel that one of the conversations in Kochi, I heard some of the young people coming to you and saying, these books have helped us, ma'am, with problems. So there is the AI, which is, like we are in the middle of artificial intelligence, and I feel there is always a digital vortex into which you are pulled in.
Yeah.
Do you feel threatened as a writer with the AI, artificial intelligence, and technology advancing so much?
No, not at all. In fact, I'm a huge technology fan, because see, I have this watch, this runner's watch, which tells me how much strides, what I did. It gives like almost like a, much more. It's almost like a sophisticated machine on my wrist. So, and Chat GPT, it's one of the things, but I feel it's good. It's good. It's a very bad writer, but it's a great editor. So if I put it in Chat GPT, I know it'll catch everything which even the writers won't. It's very inhuman still. It is still in the stages of infancy. But I feel it will not replace the human experience, because essentially we feel deeply. At the most, it will fake it, and it lacks depth, because once I did put it into Chat GPT, I gave my character sketch. I said Arush, Pooja, and Divya. Divya is Pooja's sister. So I gave full character description, because I create 365-degree characters. What they ate, how, what they eat, where they sleep, where they grew up, what are their fears, all of that. And I put into Chat GPT. I said, generate a conversation between Pooja and Divya. It generated 3-4 pages of conversation. Then I read it. It is so boring. I said, my life, I will not write like this. Yeah, sure, it did the task, but no life in it. Yeah. So I feel it will not replace.
And Preeti, I think it is time for Q&A. And before I conclude, it is such an enriching experience. And I think, like all of us who are here, the biggest takeaway for all of us is actually your writing, and when we listen to your thoughts, is the integrity of emotions and the way you treat all the gamut of emotions with the same calm, all passion spent. And I open this forum to Q&A. You are free to listen to your author. You can ask her, bombard her with questions. I'm sure she will not let you down. Yeah, over to you, Preeti.
Thank you so much, Latha ma'am. Any questions you all have, please ask me. And by the way, എനിക്ക് മലയാളം കൂടി അറിയാം. So I can speak in Malayalam too. So
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
As you said, your works, it reflects, it's like a mirror to the contemporary society, right?
Yeah.
So my question is, what were the early reactions that you used to get when you all the love you desire, all these types of book, young with the young. So what were the early reactions that you used to get?
I used to get this book just came out. This is my latest book.
No, before that, all this youth related,
Huh.
So what?
It's always been positive. I've always got good reactions, because they always tell me, how did you understand our problems? Like I wrote this book called Secret Wish List. It's about a housewife trapped in an unhappy marriage. So they said, how did you get into our heads and write our stories? Because my stories tend to be very deep. So, and yeah, I do get negative reviews, which I will read it. I will see if there is some substance in it. If there is something in it, I will try to improve it. But otherwise, I don't bother much. And fortunately, I've got a lot of positive reviews. And the thing is, to be a writer, you have to have a very thick skin. Okay, first book, it is 1 inch thick. Second book, 2 inches. Now, 16 books, 16 inches. You can tell anything about my writing because I know that people read it. I know it makes an impact on people. So, it doesn't really bother me now. Maybe as an early writer, maybe I felt bad.
Good afternoon, Latha ma'am. Good afternoon, Preeti ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, you spoke about a lot of things regarding the nuances of writing.
Yeah.
So thank you for enlightening us on the nuances. And I just wanted to ask, what were the challenges that you faced as a writer, right from the point of writing to the publication process? We have Virginia Woolf talking about room of one's own. So are there any tips?
Sorry?
Room of one's own, a confined space for you to patiently sit and write. So, what the tips that you would give to an aspiring creative writer?
Yeah. So I think first of all, it's finding the time to write. See, I wrote with 2 young kids. So I had set up my house in such a way that you don't need a room of one's own. You just need time. So I had set up my house system in such a way that the maid will come and go. I would wake up at 5. I would pack lunch for my kids. I would send them off. Husband would go to office. My maid will also leave. Then from 8:30 to 3:30 till the time my children came home, I would write. I would write every single day. Turn off the doorbell, and I wouldn't go out for parties. All my friends would go. At one time, I remember when I was like, when my second book came out or something, everybody, all the ladies in my residential complex went out for a movie. They didn't call me. I saw it on Facebook, okay, and I felt very bad. And I went and told my husband, I said, they've all gone for this movie and they have not called me. So then my husband said, of course, he understood what I was feeling. And he said, listen, do you want to write or do you want to go out for movies? I said, yeah, I want to write. So essentially, it's that you have to be ready to be in isolation. Then I wrote. Now it's 16 books and those women are still going out for movies. And going out for movies is not bad, mind you, because I myself went for a movie by myself and I said, every woman should do it. Just go alone to a theater. I booked 2 seats because I said I didn't know who will come and sit next to me. So 2 seats I booked on nice. I sat like this with on popcorn and one drink and all of that. But yeah, it's very important to dedicate the time for the craft. Extremely important to read. Read a lot. Read as much as you can. It's because only when you're exposed to different kinds of writing will your own mind grow. And write every single day. Write every single day. And fourth is, do not bother about what people tell about your writing. Because if you start bothering, that's when that inner critic there'll always be that monkey in your head which will tell you it's not good. And then we'll always compare, oh my God, this person has written so well. But there is a voice for every writer. Like you'll develop your own unique style. When you write more and more and more, you'll develop your voice. So these are the 4 important things I would say. Thanks.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello.
I just would like to ask you that what's the message that you can share and provide, because even we are in the midst of, we are stuck in the AI challenges, and
Yeah.
with the same joy and plainness of reading a book.
Yeah.
How can we move, or how can we trespass the challenges of AI even with the same joy that with our passion for the future generation? What's the message that you can share?
So do you mean AI or do you mean phone addiction in specific?
Yeah, phone addiction.
Phone addiction, I feel you have to put a timer on your phone. Like most of I have an iPhone, but so there is one timer there in the settings. So after 30 minutes or whatever, it will turn off. So you put that settings and once it turns off, don't look at it. And what I used to do, because I found out a few years back, my reading was suffering. It was because of the phone. Then I live in a house where I have upstairs and downstairs. So I would leave my phone downstairs, go upstairs and sit and read. And when we are sleeping, don't keep the phone next to you. Keep it far. You can use an old-fashioned alarm clock to wake up. So unless we take these conscious steps, it is impossible to escape it because it's very easy. When it is accessible, it's very easy. And when we feel hurt about something, it's so easy to go on Instagram and scroll till we feel better. So we are not processing our emotions. We are, just scrolling it away, so to speak. And journaling at the end of the day. Write one page in your journal before you go to sleep. It will slow down your mind. It will give you a lot of calm. Phone, the only way to get over it is conscious saying no. Be aware of how much time you are spending. So I read somewhere that, when I saw one man who was doing, because I'm running, I'm getting all running reels. So he said, I spent 6 hours on my phone. So now I'll run for 6 hours. So which I thought was a nice way. Like, he said, 6 hours, because we all say that we don't have time. But honestly, if you open our phone history, we'll see how much time we have. I hope that has answered. Yeah, I think
Any
this
more
one-
questions?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
First of all, I should thank you so much. This is a personal experience. When I was after my degree, I was stuck up between pressure of marriage and to study. So, like, I was stuck up for 2-3 years. But what helped me to move forward is your book. To be honest, it was like for 2 years, I have read The Secret Wish List and The Breaking Rules. I have read it more than thrice. Like, every time I feel low, I take it, and that was my motivation. So, there are people around us who keep on saying that Indian novels are always like very sadistic. But the thing is that our lives and people who are in Western, the girls' lives differ. So I think we should read it and people should promote that. So I would like to thank you for that special, because it is very, very close to me. Still now I keep on reading it. And second thing is a question. Ma'am, how do you keep this energy at this age? Like you have time, like to be honest, I have messaged you, ma'am, a lot of time, and I have got replies for everything. Nobody does that. So, how do you keep that energy, like to write, to use the social media, you're exercising, and to remain young, of course?
See, honestly, we all have time. We have 24 hours. Okay, we'll sleep for 8 hours. So, what are you doing for the remaining time? I don't understand when people say they don't have time. Because messaging, at the most, it will take half an hour for me to reply to. Because you can reply so quickly. Now I can type without seeing also on my phone, because so much I've used my phone. So, I fail to understand where does the time go. So I tell people, do a time audit, see where your time goes. Like this morning, I woke up at 6:30, got ready, 6:45, I started running, ran all the way to the venue here, ran back to my hotel. My 45 minutes running done. And then I read, and then, so I don't understand when people say they don't have time. I feel we'll always make time for what we are interested in. If it is a priority, you will make time for it. And I feel if people don't scroll on the phone, there will be more time, honestly. And I don't speak on the phone either. I'll only speak to one person, my mom. Only to my mom I will speak. To my daughter, I will speak. Because it's taking a lot of our energy. So, any social agency, anything, sometimes, with my publishers, there will be some book coming out, there'll be a marketing call, I'll schedule the call. Otherwise, I do not speak on the phone, because for me, I find it draining. So I feel if you, structure your day, you will find time for everything. So I don't understand how people don't find time. I don't have to travel anywhere. So I save on the commute time, because my home is my office. My room is my office. I wake up, I'm in my office. So yeah, I feel you can always manage to find time for what you want to do.
Can I conclude? Yeah. So, Preeti, it has been an beautiful conversation, and I'm so happy to see some of my students and also Rosemary Chechi here. It was such a surprise, and all the youngsters who have asked questions. And I feel that when I say that I think I speak for your readers, and it has been my experience when I say that your books have been a friend, a guide, and a beacon of hope in dark times for millions of readers that you have touched. And as you have beautifully put it, I quote, "Love is a journey, not a destination, and let us continue this journey together, cherishing the love we seek and seeking the love we deserve." Now we can I think getting out of this conversation is also partings, and all partings are painful, but on the hope that we will meet again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you, Manorama Hortus, for inviting me. And thank you to all of you. Thanks a lot, guys.